Yeah, we are.
Hi guys, it's Domi and Jamie from Hometown History, and tonight we're coming to you live from the Hoke House. So we just filmed a quick video of the Peter Wolf House, which was built in 1756, and it's about the same time as another house was built in Spring Grove. And we are here at the Hoke House. So if you look at the red dot there, that would be the Peter Wolf House. So we are 8 minutes south of that at the Hoke House here in Spring Grove.
So tonight we're going to focus on this Hoke House and its impact that it had during the Revolutionary times.
Yes.
So we'll talk about when it was first built in the 1750s and then Hawaii up to the 1790s.
Yeah, so we're going to start at the beginning. So Thomas Wilson was the first person to hold a tavern license at the Hoke House, and that's why if you did research on the property, you'd find information on Wilson Tavern, and that was in 1750 and the oldest documentation that there is of the house.
He was warranted the property directly from William Penn himself after he immigrated from Ireland, so he was an immigrant just like Peter Wolf. And by 1755, when the property was surveyed, he had over 350 acres on either side of Monocacy Road.
And during that time, there was only 20 tavern licenses in all of York County. So most of these taverns were in York City and east toward the river and the more developed Lancaster County. And Wilson's Tavern was one of only 3 recorded taverns west of York City. Tavern license records indicate that it was the only tavern between York and what would eventually become Adams County, as well as the only tavern between York and Maryland.
In addition to serving travelers, Wilson's Tavern would have been a gathering place, a place to share ideas and conduct business. It also would have been a post office, news center, voting place, and local meeting house. In fact, local licenses at the time for taverns granted to Wilson directly stated that he was expected to ensure that local citizens had a place to gather and disperse information.
I love that. It's a one-stop shop. So when Thomas died in 1767, his wife Sarah kept the business running. So go Sarah.
Yeah.
And we wish we could talk to her. And, you know, I'd love to know what, you know, a modern day businesswoman she was back then in the 1700s. But this was before women could vote. So just imagine that. And she was a widow on the edge of the frontier. So her property is still on the British colony at that point.
She was on the frontier.
I know.
Like a single woman running
a
this
business,
tavern.
a widow.
Oh my
She's
gosh.
cool. Go
I
Sarah.
just think it's awesome. Yeah. Yep. In addition to the house, there would have been wood and stone barn with 2 smaller wooden structures on the property, and it remained a tavern well into the 1850s when it was converted to a paper mill, and it did change hands many times.
And when Sarah Wilson remarried 2 years after Thomas died in 1767, the tavern license transferred to her new husband, Joseph Jeffreys. He kept the tavern until he died in 1778, at which time the tavern was passed down to Sarah's son, and that she had to Thomas, and that was Joseph Wilson.
Yeah. Some believe that some of the Wilsons and the Jeffreys and others were actually buried here on the property. It's likely that their graves, though, were lost to the development around the house. In 1936, there was a cemetery that was documented here around the Hoke House, but the stones were unreadable, and today historians don't know where it is. So it's around here somewhere. It's hallowed ground.
It really is. And just like the Peter Wolf House, this tavern was built here right because of a major travel route for the time called Monocacy Trail. First, the Susquehannocks used the route as a path to the Carolinas, and this was during the 1500s to 1600s. And then in 1739, as travel increased, the trail was officially identified as the first roadway in what is now York County.
When the Revolutionary War broke out, Hessian and British POWs would have been transported right past where we're standing, which is so cool,
That's
right?
very cool.
Like right where we're standing right now, where we can hear cars and there's people at rudders and there's people living the bank. There would have been POWs during the Revolutionary War before America even existed.
We need to have a reenactment here.
They would have been transferred to Maryland and Virginia.
And many famous people traveled this path and passed right by the Hoke House. People like General Anthony Wayne on his trip to his brigade of 1,000 American soldiers during the Revolutionary War. And they were on their way to Yorktown, Virginia to join Marquis de Lafayette to start their siege.
In 1791, the one and only George Washington traveled Monocacy Road, and he stopped in Hanover and then would have passed right past the Hoke House on his way to York. And then some locals believe that George Washington actually came to York, passed here 5 different times.
So cool.
Yeah.
Into the next century, the Hoke House ceased serving the community as a tavern gathering place, and instead it developed into a thriving 19th century farm, complete with a barn, a smokehouse, summer kitchen, wash house, and numerous other outbuildings.
This is one of the oldest properties in York County, and it was the hot spot,
Yes.
the 18th century hot spot to be. People would have lived here, they would have gossiped here. Really, York County was built here, which is fascinating. So we reached out to Becky Zeller from Zeller Preservation. She's the one who did the historical survey, the report, and she notes that taverns are a building type that we're losing at an alarming rate
Yes.
because of so much of the development pressure.
Yeah, and warehousing, trucking, and highways are important to York County, and these buildings are located along historic trade routes that are still major commerce corridors. Their location along major thoroughfares was the reason for their construction, and not the reason for their demise.
And the reason for the
And
demise.
the
Yeah.
reason for the demise.
So these big thoroughfares are the reasons why this house right behind us would have been built. It was on a main road, and now it's on a main road, and
I
there's
know.
trucks and there's warehouses, and people are like, what is this old house doing? Domi and I just went inside, and it is beautiful. We are going to post some pictures then so you can see what
Yes.
it looks like. But the positive news is that there was enough support that the Hoke House is officially moving. So this is a tavern that is not going to be torn down, and it will be moving here hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And honestly, if you want to know more, just type in the Hoke House on Facebook or Google, and you're going to get a lot of social media posts, a lot of articles about it. But stay tuned for more hometown history, because we're coming back with a new episode on February 22nd, and we're going to talk about local authors in York County and books that we like, and we're going to be at the Redland Community Library.
Thanks for learning more about the Hoke House.
Thanks.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.